We did.
Late toward the end. Does that do anything for you in practice?
Well, we've been harping on them on productivity and 7-on-7 and 1-on-1. So they're doing a lot of good things. Schematically wise, they're disguising a lot of things, which is good. I mean, we're rolling into a lot of coverage from a 3-high look, and then being around the football, a couple of them were tips, a couple of them were read. The one that Chase had, I mean, I told him earlier in practice, I mean, understand the concept of what's coming on in front of you. If this guy does a certain thing, you know what the other guy ain't going to do, so jump it and know where our advantages are to the short side of the field. And he did a nice job the next time, intercepted it. I mean, they're understanding concepts, which is very good towards the success of where we want to be. I mean, we're so much further ahead this year than we were last year, and we're doing it with some pretty good players.
Maybe before spring started, you were excited about Case Hatch. How would you evaluate his first 4 or 5 practices?
He's got a ton of reps, I'll tell you that. He's doing a nice job. He knows his limitations, and so he's trying to play to his strengths until we get to some real live bullets where we tackle here probably next week. We'll tell the real story because once those guys start moving a little bit faster in space, you can see. But schematically, he's doing a really good job. He knows what to do. So for a kid that's been in the program for about a month, I mean, that's pretty awesome. I mean, he's making very few assignment mistakes.
That's where that self-discipline is maybe able to knock off all that rust, not playing 2 years, but that level he's playing.
I mean, give him, like I said, give him a lot of credit for staying in shape. Physique-wise, he's still got a little wind shape to get into, but I mean, he's an effort guy that's doing a really good job, and I mean, you've seen some market improvement from day 1 to day 6. So, I mean, he's got a pretty high ceiling. Like I said, I want to see live bullets before we make any kind of real judgment, but he's doing a nice job.
The additional competition that you have in the secondary, which will continue in the fall for you get you guys, what does that do for the development of players or keeping them on edge or focused?
I think it's awesome. I think that's the best thing that we're trying to build to around here is competition. And I mean, Chase missed the first week because of his family matters that he had, and he came out yesterday with a lot of energy. We didn't put him with the ones because he wasn't here for a week, and he handled that like a champion. And when you saw him today, I mean, he's getting better. I mean, he's been here for 2 days. He made a lot of improvement in the 2 days from last year, both mature-wise and I think athletically. And because, I mean, some of that is because he's growing up a little bit. He's a little bit more mature. But then the other part of that is competition. He knows somebody's nipping at his heels trying to take his spot. And I think with some of the guys that we have coming in the summer and some of the guys that have played last year, I think we've got a chance to be pretty loaded in the secondary. I mean, I think we got a chance to be pretty special back there. So now we have to do some schematic things up front to give those guys a chance with the low numbers we have now. I mean, we did some stuff with 2 D linemen today. I mean, I was having a ball out there today. It was fun.
You've answered this, but just with Chase, when he got that pick 6,
Yes.
you said, hey, coach, we couldn't finally coaching.
Yes.
What was that about?
We talk about stuff, and we told him in meetings all the time, and last year at this time, Chase kind of had things figured out to what he thought. Sorry, it's disgusting. And so harping on him over and over and over, he's buying into what we're doing. And so earlier in practice, he had the exact same route concept, and he played it a little bit wrong, and we explained, hey, they're going to do this. No, this is coming. And so the next time he saw it, he jumped it, and he intercepted it. And it was just having some fun with him. I mean, me and Chase are pretty close, so I like giving him a hard time every chance I get. Yes. I do. I think the retention that they keep. I mean, a lot of them. We're not having to do very much reteaching right now for the guys that played all last season. I mean, we haven't changed a whole lot schematically. We've actually dialed back a little bit so we can hone in on more fundamentals. But I think the thing that we can do now to experiment with guys is we can move some puzzle pieces around for numerous reasons. I think when you know what the guys next to you are doing and you actually physically do it, you understand why they fit in some of the places that they fit. We've had Ashari in the middle playing Tillman the last 2 days. He's 200 pounds. Physically, he could do it. if he gets really good at it over the next week, because we're going to leave him there so he can keep continuing to learn. But I think he was asking questions in meetings today about, he knows where the Rangers are supposed to fit on most of things. But now he's saying, well, as a Ranger, now I can do this because this is what this dude's supposed to do. And so because we have less retention, I mean, we haven't lost much, we have a lot of retention from being so quick, we can move those guys around. And you'd be surprised that a guy, so in the way we separate the DBs, I have the 2 Rangers and the Tillman in my meeting room, and Coach White has the 2 corners. We start every meeting together so that we're all on the same page. And then I take the Rangers and Tillman, and Coach White takes the corners. You can sit in a meeting for a full year, and you can listen to everything I tell the Tillman to do. And then we ask you to line up at Tillman when you played Ranger all year, and you look at me like you don't know what's going on. Now, that was not Ashar yesterday. Ashar is smarter. He didn't know all the nuances we want the Tillman to do, but he had an idea of where it goes. So now that those puzzle pieces are fitting, he was asking him questions about the Ranger, how he could do something different because he knows where the Tillman's going to be. And we can do that all 3 levels. It's part of the reason we went right and left. It's part of the reason that we're moving some of those guys around. Now, Tyler Wiley, he looks really good in 7-on-7. I keep giving him a hard time. I keep throwing footballs at his ankle, and he keeps jumping out of the way. So as soon as one of those balls hit him in the ankle and he realizes it doesn't hurt, then he's going to be all right. I told him I'm going to move from footballs to helmets. One of those things is going to hit him. He's got a big old steel plate in there. It's not going to hurt. It's going to scare him a little bit. But he'll be fine. And then once he realizes that, we'll put him in some team. And if the good thing about Tyler is if Ashari does grow into that position, because Ashari Croswell is going to be 215 pounds by the time he's a senior, just because he's got a big frame and he can run. Tyler Wiley's athletic enough to play all those Ranger spots. And then we have some guys that we think are pretty dang talented coming in, so we can do some musical chairs. And there's going to be some times that we might play with 6 DBs, 2 D linemen, 3 linebackers. We might take 2 D linemen, 4 linebackers. I mean, we're going to do some different things because now that they understand the concepts, we can really screw with some people. So it's fun.
You never know how somebody's going to come back from an injury, but it seems like Tyler's moving really well based on what he went through.
Unbelievable. I mean, 2 months ahead of schedule. So they put a plate in there. He's got a plate in around the bone, and then they do what you call a tight wrap. Basically, they put some nylon string around, or nylon fishing line around the ankle. So, I mean, I'm probably making most of the stuff up. It's just what I've been told. So, I mean, if he's going to break it, it's going to be a completely different spot. And that's what I'm trying to get him to know. I mean, I broke my leg when I was a sophomore and had a bar in there. And you understand that in your mind, you can see it happening again real quick. But I mean, he's like a freaking bionic man in the lower part of his ankles. So tell him I'm gonna sneak up on him and hit him with something so he realizes that he's okay. But I gotta do a nose round so I don't get in trouble. But we'll have some fun with him.
So what you have coming back at the linebacker level and secondary?
Yes.
Is the overall success of the defense just going to depend on what you can do up front?
I think the ultimate success of our football team always starts with what you can do up front. I mean, it doesn't matter how, and we're going to be loaded in the secondary. It does not matter how good those guys are if the quarterback has all day to throw it. It doesn't matter how good those guys are if the old lineman is driving them off the ball, and when we're making tackles, our first contact is 5 yards. I mean, you can't call defenses at 2nd and 4. It's almost impossible. So we've got to give them a chance schematically. Now we're thin from the guys that have left the program, and with the attrition of DJ being hurt and George Lee. I mean, that dude had his meniscus operated on 2 days after the bowl game, and he's out there practicing full bore. His knee was swollen today. I mean, he did not want me to take him out, and I said, no, you're done. You need to sit down a little bit. So we put 2 D linemen in that last team period and did some things that is not hard to do, because now that they understand the concepts, just because we don't have a nose guard over the center, it's more confusing for the offense, but our defensive guys know where to fit, and they know the reactions we're asking for. So we'll have some help. We have a plan for that. The D line will be, over the next 3 years, there will be a dramatic change in both how they look and how many we have. When you're building a foundation, when you're building a culture, and I'll say this, I'm proud of this. What we ask these guys is not easy to do, and it's not for everybody. And I'm okay with that because I want guys that are competitively driven. I want guys that will run through a wall to get what they want. And that's not easy to do. Once we get the right guys completely in the program, and we've got enough of them to continue to be successful, once we continue to get the amount of numbers and get back, we're going to be at around 74 scholarships this year. We have 19 seniors, 12 juniors. Between 2020 and 2021, we'll be back up to 85 scholarships. I think our recruiting department, Coach Luganville, is doing a great job with the walk-ons. If we can identify a couple of those guys that can come in and help that have not been recruited but are good enough to play at the Power 5 level, we're going to have an outstanding roster, and we're going to be able to compete for championships. We've got enough talent right now that we can give them schematically some stuff that they can be successful and we can save some bodies. And because they're understanding what we're doing schematic-wise, it gives us a chance. So we're gonna do some really exotic things that if they work, I'll look really smart. If they don't, I'll look like an idiot. And we've got enough good players that we're gonna give them a chance that way.
You mentioned just 2-down stop. Is that something that you could conceivably use against certain types of opponents?
Absolutely. We did it at my previous schools, and you can't do it. So here, I mean, you can't do it every week. You can't have one or two things out of it. You can for a game, but the next week they're going to scheme you and they're going to tear you alive. I mean, there's some teams that in the playoffs they played with 7 DBs and it stoned their opponent. Well, they came with that same game plan the next week, and guess what? It didn't. So we've got some things with 2 D linemen. We got something. Heck, you might see 1 D lineman out there sometimes. We do enough stuff with static movement that we can give people some trouble, but you can't give them a chance to scheme you, and that's when you have a chance to be successful.
You know, this is somebody who started out kind of slow last year, but ended up on a pretty strong note. What development you've seen from Evans Field from last year?
I think Evan's done a nice job. Actually moving him out to Tillman, from Tillman to Ranger, he's done a lot better than I had anticipated him doing. He actually felt really comfortable out there. It's more similar to what he did in high school. So he's done some good things over the last 2 days. It'll help him both for his Tillman spot of being able to cover a little bit better in space to continue to get more reps at Ranger. And then the other one that I think Kalen Thomas. Now, I can't say enough good things about that young man right now. I mean, he has got me fired up. He's got a different mindset than he had in the fall. He's worked his tail off in the weight room, and you can tell physically he's giving them some matchup problems. He's running hard. He's worked on some change of direction stuff. I think the improvement from last year to this year is so dramatic with that young man. I mean, I'm excited about what he can do.
Defensive line might fit back that.
Yes.
What guys do you have coming in for the fall, and you feel that will be able to contribute, but add to the depth to kind of get more depth up front?
I think we'll have 5 guys for sure that can play at a really, I mean, they can play at a primetime level in this conference. You never count on true freshmen playing up front. What Jermaine Lole did last year is not the normal. And so I love Stephon Wright. I love Amiri Johnson. There's a couple others that are going to be here. But you can't expect them to be Jermaine Lole. I won't. And I want everybody to know, don't anticipate them being Jermaine Lole, because that is not the norm. When you are that close to the football, it's really hard to play. And so we'll have enough pieces in those 5. If we can find 2 more, if one of those guys can spell a little bit, that'll be great. But we'll be serviceable. Now, you have to stay healthy to be successful. That's with any really good team. The good teams can lose a guy or 2 and be okay. Great teams, even when they lose the wrong guy, it doesn't matter. And that's the game of football. And that's why when you develop a physical, mean, violent, nasty culture with good guys, you have a chance to dominate, because the great equalizer in the game of football, and why I love it, is if you are the meaner, tougher, nastier person, it doesn't matter how good of an athlete that guy is. Because if you don't break down and you knock him in the nose and he can't breathe, all of a sudden the game's equal. And so don't expect the true freshman to do that. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I hope we do have another Jermaine Lole. I hope Stefan or Amiri or those other guys are good enough to do that. And we'll find out. We'll find out for sure in the games because they're going to play. But we've got help on the way, and we've got a plan. There's a solid plan to fix this roster and to a competitive championship level football team. And I'm telling you, man, this place can be special.
Have there been any leaders that have emerged throughout the spring practice so far in the defensive?
Like I said, I'll go back to Kalen on that. George Lee has been the most dominant voice, which is good. Now, our younger guys, Merlin and Darian and Ashari's probably the most vocal in the secondary, in the meetings and stuff. We have a standard around here that they're starting to figure out. It does not matter who you are. If you don't do things right, you don't get to play. That is the standard. And they're figuring that out quickly. George has done a great job. When you've got the players handling guys running behind and they get on each other, that's when you have a chance to be success. And that's starting to pop up. And then when you're trying to develop that, when a leader says something and somebody pops off at them, all of a sudden you have a little tension. Well, when you got guys that say, hey, that's not how we do things. And the other guys just, they follow suit, they get in line. I see a lot of that going on. The bottom line is winning breeds success. Winning takes care of all. We had a little bit of success last year on defense as a program. We won 7, we were supposed to win 2. That's a minute piece of success. It's nothing what we want to be around here. But they're believing in the transition of what we're doing. And so that leadership, that's when you have a chance to be really good. And I see it in pieces. They're still, in my opinion, confrontation is because you're insecure. If somebody tells you something and you know that you're following suit, but you got to bark at them, that means you're insecure. And the less you have of that, the better chance you have to be successful. And you can see that changing place. This is a really cool thing to see. And it just tells you have a chance. You need good players. That's the bottom line. Good players. You're only a good coach if you have good players. So,
Everybody good?
awesome. Thank you guys.